What's going on, Broncos Country? We're going to talk about trading for Danielle Hunter potentially on today's show because it was floated out there by someone with a blue check mark, and I thought we could spend some time in the dog days of June just combing through all the Broncos-related news and rumors and breaking them down. So let's start things off by getting into the nuts and bolts, if you will, of Danielle Hunter because he was listed as a potential trade candidate for the Vikings, and the Broncos were listed as a potential trade destination. Now, the word on the street in Minneapolis is that Hunter is looking for a new deal. He has 1 year left on his contract, and he's looking to get the bag a little bit, and he certainly deserves it, right? PFF ranked him as the 7th best edge rusher out of 119 qualifying players last year for the Vikings. Now, the Broncos were one of 6 teams included as destinations by Bleacher Report. Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, San Francisco 49ers, Jacksonville Jaguars, and the New York Jets were the other 5 teams. So let's look at this through the Broncos lens of things and see if it makes sense, because this was the Bleacher Report trade idea. Danielle Hunter comes to Denver in exchange for Baron Browning and a 3rd-round pick. So not a huge haul, right? You're holding on to your 1st and 2nd-round pick, but you don't even have your 2nd-round pick. But still, a 3rd and a rotational edge rusher, or someone who could start depending on the team, for Danielle Hunter. So with that being said, before I give my kind of take on this, what do you guys think? Would you do this trade? Trade or pass? If you were the Paytons, George and Sean, are you hitting deal or are you hitting no deal? For me, I'm hitting no deal. I am passing on this. I don't want to give up a 3rd-round pick when you already don't have your 2nd-round pick, and you traded one of your 2 3rd-round picks away to move up to get Riley Moss for what could be a potential rebuild coming up if Sean Payton does not resurrect Russell Wilson and Denver has a somewhere between a 5 to 7 win season again, right? Kind of like last year. If there's not a dramatic turnaround and they go, okay, 2 seasons with Russell Wilson, we know what we got here in him. Unfortunately, his best days are clearly behind him. But the bad news is, as we enter what we want to be a rebuild, we don't have a 2nd-round pick. We have one. Nope, we don't even have a 3rd-round pick. We traded 1 to Seattle, and we traded 1 to Minnesota. So all we have in the first 2 days of the draft are a 1st-round pick, which is not bad. But for a rebuild, you need some more ammunition. Because when you look at Denver's 2024 draft haul, and I know we're looking way ahead here, but this trade has future implications. You would be sending away your 3rd-round pick. You'd have your 1st. You have 2 4ths. You got 1 from Miami from the Bradley Chubb trade, and then a 5th and a pair of 7ths. So if things don't go well and you trade for Hunter and you want to do a reset or a rebuild of some sorts, having only a 1st through the first 2 days of the draft is not ideal. Now, there's no doubt that Hunter is a good player. He's a very good player, right? 10.5 sacks last year for the Vikings. He missed all of 2020 with an injury, but 2018, 14.5 sacks. 2019, 14.5 sacks. And then when he comes back from his injury, he only plays in 7 games and 6 sacks. If he plays a full 16, 17-game season, it is another double-digit sack season for Danielle Hunter. Now, in his career, he has been, I think, one of the more underrated edge rushers or just defensive players in football. 378 tackles, 71 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, 85 tackles for loss. When you talk about edge rushers in the NFL, you usually think of the Bosas, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, TJ Watts of the world. Hunter statistically is right there with a lot of them, but he's just not usually in the same conversation. Now, in this trade, you would also be moving on from Baron Browning, who through 2 seasons has shown some real big improvement after making the switch from inside linebacker to outside linebacker, 5 sacks in 14 games. I don't think Baron Browning is ever going to become a Danielle Hunter, but for what he is getting paid to do, it's a pretty good value in my opinion. Because keep in mind, if you're getting Hunter, you're also giving him a big fat contract as well. Hunter is an upgrade over Baron Browning. If I had to pick one of those 2 players, I'm taking Danielle Hunter. But is Denver one expensive edge rusher who you'd have to give a big contract to, and losing Baron Browning on a rookie contract for 2 more years, and a day 2 draft pick away from winning in the postseason? If you think so, this is a good trade. I don't think so. I don't think that is the final piece of the puzzle for Denver to reclaim the AFC West and go on a run in January. I think what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a bad contract 2 years down the road where you're not where you want to be, and you have a big, expensive defensive end, and you ultimately have to move on from him, and you probably don't get as much as you traded away for him because he's a bit older now, and he's got a brand new contract. Now, I know it's a bit of a rain cloud energy right here, but if you are ready for some happier post-game shows, because I do think this team is going to improve. They will not be as bad as they were in 2022. I don't know if they're going to be a postseason contender in year one with Sean Payton. They're going to be right at that 8 to 10 win range, in my opinion. I think 9-8 is very much in the ballpark for the Broncos. But anywho, subscribe for post-game shows, because last year I remember getting called out in the comment section for being too harsh after they barely squeaked by the 49ers, and we saw what ended up happening. Those embarrassing, idiotic, put a trash bag over your face mistakes will not happen under Sean Payton. So subscribe so you don't miss these much more entertaining and lively post-game shows come September. Now, like I said, if you're trading for Hunter, you're also giving him a brand new contract. And I think an extension would look something like this. 4 years, $80 million. That's an average of $20 million a season. You guarantee probably a little under half of it because he is approaching 30 years old. So if you want to get out after 3 years, you could kind of look at it as like a 3-year, $35 million contract where once the guaranteed money is up, you could get out of it, but it's not cheap though, right? However way you slice it, 4 years, $80 million, $35 million guaranteed, that's going to be a pretty penny on your books. Now, Denver has got an interesting front five, right? You added Frank Clark to more or less replace Baron Browning just because he's not going to be ready to start training camp. And with that arthroscopic knee surgery, maybe there were deeper concerns that, hey, we were already on thin ice knowing Randy Gregory is not reliable to play a full season. Now that we're already losing Baron Browning before the season even starts for an unknown period of time, let's add Frank Clark. We're going to unpack this more in just a second, but there's an awesome deal waiting for you guys over at Fanatics when you go to our exclusive link, chatsports.com/Broncos combo. You don't just get one shirt, you get 2 shirts, and they're on sale. You're basically losing money. Stop losing money. Get 2 shirts on sale right now, chatsports.com/Broncos combo. Links in the comments and the description of today's video. So I'm going to peek ahead here because a trade for Danielle Hunter would definitely be a big look ahead. And if you were to make this move, right, if you did not make this move, you would have Nick Bonito, Baron Browning, and Zach Allen, I think, as your 2024 edge rushers. Frank Clark is on a 1-year deal, and I just don't see Randy Gregory coming back for year 3 unless he has a total rebound after last year. So if I had to project what the 2024 edge rushers look like for Denver, Nick Bonito, Baron Browning, Zach Allen, a free agent signing of some sorts, and probably a draft pick as well. So there is an argument to be made of looking ahead. You don't really have a clear-cut, number 1 edge rusher if Randy Gregory is not going to be here long-term. Danielle Hunter could be that guy potentially. But when you look at the free agency class for the 2024 edge rushers, there are some notable names out there. So it's not trade for Hunter or nothing, right? You could sign him if you wanted to wait till after the season was over. Nick Bosa, he's not leaving the 49ers. Leonard Williams is not leaving the Giants. But I think Trey Hendrickson's probably done in Cincinnati once they paid Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Carl Lawson's kind of an underrated name. Josh Allen, the Jags always make a lot of mistakes, so you can pencil him in. Chase Young and Montez Sweat, Washington's going to pay one of those 2 guys. Probably whoever has the better season, so you could take the other. And then Marcus Davenport is an interesting name. He's up in Minnesota now. And then Derek Barnett, a former first-round pick out of the great University of Tennessee. He could be an interesting name to keep an eye on as well. I know. I'm way ahead of my skis here. But if we are talking about making trades that have big future impacts, and let's be honest, this would not be a trade to go on a postseason run this year, right? If you're trading for Danielle Hunter, the end goal is Super Bowl or bust in 2023. That's not the goal for Denver right now, making types of moves. They are making strategic long-term moves, if any. Not short-term like MLB at the trade deadline. Let's go get a bunch of arms and let's go all in. So for that reason, I'd rather keep Baron Browning and the third-round draft pick than get an expensive defensive end who's better than Baron Browning, but I just don't think this team is one piece away, right? If this team lost in the wild card round last year, I could talk myself into it, right? I could get behind, hey, one more edge rusher. You can never have enough. And who knows? Crazy things happen in sports. Sure, you don't have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Joe Burrow, but the Florida Panthers win all the way. The Denver Nuggets win all the way when no one said Jokic was the best player in the NBA. So things happen. But for now, Denver is just not in that window, in my opinion. So hold on to the pick, who, by the way, could be the next Danielle Hunter because he was not. I think he was a third-round pick. And hold on to Baron Browning, who in his first season as an edge rusher put up 5 sacks. He could build off of that. He could be a nice 8-sack player, which isn't as good as Hunter, but it's a lot cheaper and for value might be better, honestly. So with that being stated, maybe I persuaded you to my side. Maybe you're still against me. Let me know. Should the Broncos trade for Danielle Hunter? Yes or no? Sound off for me down in the comment section. And make sure to tune in for our NBA draft coverage here at Chat Sports. We'll keep you guys apprised on all things through the entire NBA draft. Producer Rolly has done a stand-up job the last couple of weeks getting us ready for it. So make sure you tune in for our elite NBA draft coverage for both rounds. There were no more viewers than Chat Sports last year during the 2022 NBA draft. Let's beat last year's numbers here in 2023. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have not subscribed and you're looking for a Broncos YouTube channel and you were able to put up with me for the last 10, 12 minutes or so, maybe go ahead and subscribe.